That's where I aim for organizations. I want your metaphor to be team. Well, what else could it be? It could be family. It could be command and control, military model. It could be political, and it could be more of a public servant model. How does this happen? So first of all, if you have a metaphor, and you could actually be doing it yourself. You could be saying, "Hey, we're one family." Well, that's a problem for me, because if you're saying we're a family, one, families end up with the matriarch or a patriarch. Families end up with favoritism. Families allow and turn their head on poor performance. Families, you kind of are born in or married into them, and you stay until you just are disowned. And so it's very difficult performance management type conversations with family. Hey tends to be a source of angst, because in a family, everybody should be treated the same. There's a lot of stuff that comes with family. I don't think it's healthy. Now, if you're in a small town and it's the same group that's been working with you for a long time, and the people in the community know you, you're probably going to start operating like a family, and maybe you can get to a high performing team that way. But if we're talking about mainstream type organizations that are competing tooth and nail, family metaphor, I believe, creates some problems. Compared to a team, you are rewarded based on your contribution. You are benched based on your lack of performance. You are let go when you no longer are serving the needs of the team. And we will pay double to get the right player on the team. We'll pay triple, we'll pay quadruple. And there's disparity around pay. Now, that doesn't mean pay is unfair. It just means there's disparity. You can do disparity around pay and make it fair because it aligns with the vision. If the pay aligns with the vision, you can make it fair. And then if you have the command and control, the problem with the command and control, it works in the military because you're telling people sometimes risk their life in combat. And so there can't be this participative feel. But what you have to also understand, in the command and control using the military environment, those generals are talking to the colonels, and the colonels are talking to the captains. So this is a definite command communication up and down before the decisions are made. And then once the decision is made, it's done. The members of the team may not know about it because there's a very good discipline in the military. So the members of the team may not know about it until it's told to them, and they're going to have pushback, but they've already figured it out. And that doesn't always happen in an organization. If you're using command and control, you end up with this, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you kind of mentality. And then the next one is political. It's easy to see how this one is done because it's what we see on TV. But there's another thing that can happen, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then there's public servant. Obviously, these two, for the most organizations, don't work. The political one is like two camps or three camps, and you fight against each other and see who does the best performance, and then they get promoted. And then the public servant model is your time and grade is what dictates your promotion. And this has a lot of challenges. We see people with new employees are outperforming contribution wise and skill wise long-term people, but they can't get promoted because this long-term person is there, and promotions take tenure, and it takes a opening, and it's just a challenge. Let's say that we have your company vision, and we've got these different metaphors. So you have the family, you have the command and control, and you have the political. Now consider that, how does this happen? Well, many of you use behavioral descriptive interviewing. And the premise of behavioral descriptive interviewing is that the past is the best predictor of the future. Well, if you're looking at the past as a predictor of the future and you're hiring based on that, you're putting somebody into a position based on that. What we don't know is what their real conditioning is from 0 to 7. We know what their job history was, and that behavioral descriptive interviewing is talking about their job history, not so much their personal life. It can get into that, but the majority of our conditioning happens from ages 0 to 7. That's happening in the family. And, I can get into that, but just think about it from a hunter-gatherer environment. That our brain is a couple of million years old for the most part. And think about a hunter-gatherer environment. That child has to learn how to hunt and gather by 8 years old, say. And so therefore it's just the way we're set up is that between delta state for 2 years and then theta state and then alpha, they're just downloaded without having to work for it. That's how kids learn so much. That conditioning stays with them. So let's say it's a family that has dinner around the table each day, every night. And let's say that parent worked in auto manufacturing. And if you go back a few decades, auto manufacturing was very political. And what would happen is they would take different the different brands, like in with GM, General Motors in the US, they have multiple brands. But even within a brand, you have multiple models. And they would have a leader over that particular model. And those leaders would be competing with each other. And it creates a political environment because it's whoever does the best job with their model, simplifying it, or with their brand, they're the one who gets promoted and they become the next CEO over time.